Parker Anderson. I am the historian for the Elks Opera House. The theater was built, or rather it was opened in early 1905 by the Elks Lodge, the BPOE, the Benevolent and Protective Order of Elks. The theater opened on February 20th, 1905. There has been no significant period of time, no prolonged period that it has been closed in that time. And it's hosted just about every variety of entertainment medium you can imagine. It has been a movie theater, there have been plays, it was a vaudeville house, political rallies, church services, boxing matches, just about anything you can imagine has occurred on this stage at one time or another since 1905. Probably one of the biggest names in her day to appear here was Madame Ernestine Schumann-Heink. Actually, the very first act to appear in this theater was Florence Roberts and her troupe.
Plays, music groups, movies, vaudeville acts, theater. Is it possible that those who have graced the stage before may have come back for one last performance? Or is it possible that those who had a love for the theater may have never left?
Let me tell you some ghost stories I've heard, and then I'll get to a couple of real things I know about. None of the ghost stories here are consistent with each other. It's like there has been a wide variety of spirits coming and going. Maybe they're just passing by and like the place, but some workers and even a former manager told me once that they could hear like opera singing in the distance when they were in another part of the building when no one was here. Things like that. I heard a very third or fourth hand story once that one night some workers were in here and saw a transparent little girl swinging from the chandelier. I cannot confirm that. That came to me very third or fourth hand. Okay. In the 80s there was this is my favorite one. In the 80s, there was a story going around that there was a ghost in the center stall of the women's restroom, specifically the center stall, and that if you used the center stall, you ran the risk of the ghost talking to you. At some point in the last 110 years that the theater's been opened, that a little girl fell to her death from the balcony and that therefore she's one of the spirits. The story, as far as I've been able to determine at this point, has no documentation. I have not been able to, I've done a lot of research on this place. I have not found any evidence of anybody actually dying on the premises. One time a member of the guild, the Elks Opera House Guild that does the ushering here, told me that she one night had seen a ghost sitting in one of the box seats watching the show. So I asked her, how do you know it wasn't just some guy sitting there? How do you know it was a ghost? And she said, well, it's really hard to explain, you just knew. I also have heard recently, and this recently came to me, that there is apparently a story kicking around that a despondent actor hanged himself on the stage once. But again, there's no corroboration for that, and lots of old theaters have similar legends.
Geoff Lloyd, and I am the assistant here at the Elks Theatre. It's just the theater manager and myself that work here, and we have lights and sound person that works here as well. So we do everything from sell tickets to, work at the bar and concession area and handle the contracting. Okay, so typically what we do here is we have a lot of acts that come in as tributes. So tribute acts to Journey, all kinds of popular modern day music, as well as theater plays. Some of the local theater groups come in and do their plays on our stage. All kinds of things, comedy, magic, A lot of different. I've been here for 8 years. Colette has also been here for just over, just a little longer than myself. And through the years, I think mostly we've experienced strange electrical happenings, strange smells in the theater that really are hard to explain.
Okay.
Coming from places that telephones don't make any sense. In fact, I had an issue today that makes no sense at all, as a matter of fact. Telephones, kind of things, electrical things on stage, lighting issues. We do have a light in the back of the theater that we refer to as the ghost light. A lot of ghost lights in theaters are on stage. Ours is actually towards the back of the theater. And we try to leave that turned up, and on occasion it gets turned down, and inevitably when the ghost light is turned down, the following day we have just all kinds of things. Yeah, okay. It could, definitely not anything serious, but we know when we come in that something's different. Okay. We'll hear something, or something will happen.
Have you had any personal experiences where you've seen or heard or experienced something paranormal?
Yes, yeah.
Tell me about that.
Several things. I've had my hair pulled, and it wasn't just caught on my necklace or caught on something else. It was an actual grasping of the hair and pulled behind me. We've heard footsteps. We can elaborate on that a little bit later. Again, odors that don't make any sense.
What kind of odors?
Bad.
Like death?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, where we look at each other and say, "What did you do?" kind of thing,
right.
Yeah, I haven't seen any apparitions. One of our employees here recently, who does not want to be filmed, I will give you a great story. This was just a couple of weeks ago. She was in the women's restroom. And yeah, Parka will appreciate this story very much. She is not a big fan of the paranormal. So when something happens to her, it's real. And she came out of the women's restroom in tears very quickly, rapidly walking towards me, and explained that she was in that center stall, which is a stall that she typically does not use. And while she was using the ladies' room, the lock on the door unlocked itself and the door opened. So she quickly removed herself from that to really compose herself. It was serious for her. It was a serious situation for her. We've seen various shadows crossing the stage that don't make sense as far as our lighting system goes. Unexplainable shadows and things. We have an elderly lady who comes in often, and she asked us one evening why there was someone in the fly loft watching her, and there was no one in the fly loft. You can only get to the fly loft one of two ways, and there was nobody there. So she wanted to know who that was up there, and there was no one up there. So
talk to me more about the footsteps that you hear.
Footsteps that we hear, again, the story belongs to my daughter, who you'll speak to in a few minutes, okay. As well as the other employee here. Exact same story, days apart.
Okay.
Hearing something behind them, follow them when there's no one else around.
And the floor of the theater, you can certainly hear the footsteps, because when I walked in, I noticed that, right. Which means that the ground underneath the floor here, underneath that rake seating, is hollow.
Right. Yeah.
So you've got a big empty space down there.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, footprint or footstep sounds behind them.
So, what are your thoughts about having the theater investigated by us and being the first group in? Do you want to know what's going on here, or is it more of a case of ignorance may be bliss at this point?
I don't feel that ignorance is bliss, and I'll tell you, I am excited to have you in here. Okay. We've been approached a number of times. This is the first time it's come to fruition, so I'm excited. And
so why this time? A team from California instead of a local team?
Yeah, it's funny. You approached us, and we have new ownership now, and okay. She was interested, and I was interested, and so we were paired together, and here we go. Wow. So I'm excited. Yeah.
I am very happy.
Yeah, so and I have to say too, I've never been afraid. Okay. I'm here alone a lot. I come in, it's very dark, and I've never one time been scared. We did name our friend.
And what is the name?
We have named him Fillmore, and so when weird things happen, we tend to blame Fillmore.
And does Fillmore respond sometimes?
Not directly,
Not directly.
not in a very timely manner, but I do feel that there's definitely.
So go ahead and state your name.
I'm Haley Ward.
And do you work here, Haley, or you?
I don't. I volunteer here.
Excellent. So tell me a little bit about your experiences here at the theater and things that you've experienced as far as paranormal are concerned.
I've seen 2 full-bodied apparitions, one in the lobby. They were both the same person. Or
Okay.
And one was also outside back in the alley.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about the full-bodied apparitions. What did you see?
It was a man, and he was in a cowboy hat and a long, like trench coat or whatever, and cowboy boots. I was behind the bar looking out, and he walked from the right side and then disappeared kind of. There's like a pillar in the middle, and he disappeared after he went behind that.
Could the apparition be that of Tom Mix, a silent movie star who premiered many of his Western movies at the Elks Theatre? Is it possible that Tom has come back for one more encore? Is it possible that he's here to see if his movies are still being shown or that his fans are still around?
Okay. Any other experiences that you've had here? Your mother mentioned footsteps.
Yes,
Talk to me about that.
heard several footsteps.
Okay.
Just the one a couple weeks ago, I was coming out of the ice room. I was helping get ready for a show, and as I was turning the corner, I heard somebody following me, but there was nobody behind me.
And what about the other times? Where were you?
I was behind the bar one time, and my mom was down here disarming the alarm or something, and I heard somebody walking across the main floor, and so I started talking to her because she was going to be coming in the room, and she didn't answer me, and so I came out from around the bar and went in to look for her, and she was not there, and so I came over to the stage and called to her to see if she was still down here, and she was downstairs. So.
At any time have you felt scared?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I have left crying one time.
Tell me why have you left crying?
We were closing after a show, and I decided to mess with my brother, and I was standing behind him, and I kind of like blew on his neck, and something blew on my neck.
At the same time?
Right after.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So it freaked me out, and I was going to leave, and as I was walking through the main house, I heard somebody walking alongside me.
And could you feel anything like because sometimes when a spirit manifests itself or something like that, it uses energy.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you get that feeling of the hair standing up on the end of the neck,
Yeah.
your hair's on your neck. Or did you ever get that feeling when
Yeah.
those things happened?
I could definitely feel that something was there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your mother mentioned certain smells. Have you ever smelled anything odd?
Oh yeah.
Talk to me about that. What have
Yeah.
you?
It's like a sulfur smell. It's really bad.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we smell it all over the building.
And you've had your plumbing checked?
Mhm.
No problems with the
No
plumbing at
problems,
all?
anything like that. And it'll come and go very quickly. You know, it's not a long-standing, lingering odor
Okay.
that we can attribute to plumbing or, you know, anything, a sink, whatever.
Right.
It's comes from nowhere in very strange areas where there is no plumbing, you know, things like that.
Okay.
And then with that, it's gone. You know, come here, do you smell it here? No. Or Haley, this is another thing you can think about. Haley will smell it, and I won't.
And nobody else will smell it.
Or Colette will say, "Oh my gosh, there it is,"
And nobody else.
and I don't smell it. Yeah.
Do you, when you're here, do you sometimes feel as though you are singled out by these entities to find out, to let them know, for them to let them know that you're here, they're here,
Mhm.
so that you know that?
Yeah.
Why do you feel that way?
Because the majority of things have happened to me, as far as, you know, paranormal things go. It's a lot has happened to me, and different things than other people have experienced. a lot of times, like my mom and the manager will experience kind of the same things, but I've experienced more of a variety of different things.
And what's your belief in the paranormal?
I definitely believe in
You
it.
believe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So have you ever had your hair pulled or been pushed, like your mother's had her hair pulled? Have you ever had anything like that happen?
I've been pushed before.
Talk to me about that.
In the back of the theater by the sound booth, I was standing there and nobody was in the building in that area, and I was just pushed into the wall, basically.
Pushed hard enough to be pushed into the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also heard my name called.
So they know you.
Yes.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
Another time I was up in the office and my mom and Colette were working, and I was sitting on the floor and I heard what I thought was my mom whisper Colette's name just to like see if she was on the phone or whatever, and I didn't think anything of it because it sounded like my mom, but it was weird when nobody started talking after that. So I looked up and my mom was working on her computer, and Colette kind of started to turn around like she was confused, and she said, Jennifer, did you just call my name? And I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, well, I heard it too, and it was like coming from like behind my mom's chair, but she didn't hear it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Any other stories that you have?
Not that
Sounds
I
like
can
you have
think
a
of
lot.
right now. Yeah.
So are you interested in joining us on the investigation in January?
Maybe.
You can be our conduit because it sounds like they like you.
Yeah,
Okay.
he definitely. Oh, in the bathroom, I have had experiences in the bathroom as
Tell me.
well. For a while, I wouldn't even go in there by myself. I would have to have somebody come with me because I've heard the trash can moving by itself. While I'm in the stall, there's nobody else out there, and I'll hear the trash can moving. I've heard, you know how in handicap stalls they have like the rails?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard like rubbing on that, like somebody was trying to get up or something. I don't know, it was really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else you got?
Not that I can think
That's
of
what you
right
could
now.
think of. Excellent. Well, thank you very much.
Thank
We'll
you.
close that one.